There is a strange and exceptionally painful kind of loneliness that happens when we are surrounded by people and still feel unseen, right? You can build everything that you want career, family, fabulous reputation and still find that something is missing, right? Not something that you can name very easily, not something that a therapist is going to have a good label for. It's just this quiet ache, the sense that the people around you don't really know you. Or maybe they do, but you still can't feel it. Somewhere in all of that building, a lot of high achieving women get have this experience of not letting people in, and it keeps us from the closeness, the connection, the relational joy that you deserve. Listen, love, you are not alone. And you are not the problem, but there is something that you've been carrying. And today we're going to name it. Welcome, my friend, to another Catalyst conversation in the relationship revolution. Here we challenge the unquestioned assumptions about love, life, and leadership, disrupt the patterns that have been keeping you stuck, and reveal the truths that no one has taught you. Here, we activate new ways of doing relationships consciously, courageously, differently, and dare I say, better, so that you can have the relationships and the life that most people only dream of. I'm so glad that you are here. Are you ready? Let's get into it. So, we are in the month of March right now at time of recording, 2026, and this month we're in a series that I'm calling The Living Relationship: How Love Dies, Evolves, and is Reborn. Because that's what relationships do. They don't just stay, they move, they shift, they ask things of us that we didn't expect. Some of you might be in the middle of that right now. Right? A shakeup, a rupture, a betrayal, a quiet season of distance, or just the slow erosion of how things were that you can't quite explain or put your finger on. And that's exactly why we're having this conversation today. Because as I talked about in our first episode this month, these kinds of painful, turbulent, disruptive, changing seasons, they're actually invitations. And our greatest shakeups and breakdowns can be the rebirth of our relationships. Before we get any deeper, I want to take a moment to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me or are new to this work. And then I want to introduce our amazing guest because she is going to help liberate you from some things that you've been carrying and open you up to some of the life and love, joy, and connection that you've been missing. But let me share who I am first, if you've not tuned in before. My name is Dr. Jenny Wallig. I'm an award-winning relationship mentor, speaker, author, intuitive guide, and I am a relationship revolutionary. My mission: to revolutionize how we think about and go about relationships and to redefine what it means to love so that we may all experience the true power and possibilities that relationships have to offer. Because nothing, truly nothing, impacts the quality of our entire lives more than the quality of our relationships, including the relationship we have with ourselves. We're in relationships all the time, in every corner of our lives. They are the infrastructure to everything that we build, but most of us have never really learned how to do them well, let alone how to lead them consciously and relationally through hard times. Much of what we have learned about how relationships are supposed to go doesn't actually work. Actually can make them worse and keep us stuck and unhappy. So the revolution that I am working toward is one that creates a great global healing through love. It is a return from separation into wholeness, a paradigm shift in how humanity relates, loves, and leads, starting at our most intimate level. This is what I'm here to change. And in these Catalyst conversations, my goal is not just to give you insight, my friends. It is to wake something up in you so that you may be part of this revolution and experience all of its joy as well. Now, our guest today is a woman who is on a beautiful mission to eradicate loneliness, but not in a surface level, realistical kind of way. Stacey Rockline is a certified professional life coach and author. Her new book, Forgive Without an Apology: How to Heal, Set Boundaries, and Create Deeper Connections, is the self study version of her most highly requested online course, which hundreds of women have already taken and benefited from. Stacey works with high achieving, independent women who know how to build extraordinary lives and have done so, but are quietly, privately aching for real intimacy. She works one on one with her clients, has a membership program, teaches online courses, and on her YouTube channel offers actionable advice for how to eradicate loneliness in our lives and relationships. This conversation is about what happens when life shakes you and you decide to let it change you instead of limit you. Let me bring Stacey in because I can't wait to hear from her. Stacey, welcome to the Catalyst Conversations for a Relationship Revolution. I'm so glad that you are here.
Thank you. I mean, I think I just want to listen to you talk for a little bit longer. I mean, you really name what so many of us experience. So thank you for doing this and for having this conversation with me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, yes, I feel that and I receive that. Thank you so much. You and your work is what this conversation, especially, in our theme in March, is all about. And so to start us off, I would love to hear more about what brought you into this work, right? You're on a mission to eradicate loneliness. Like, that's a bold declaration. So what does that really mean to you? And can you share with us how, of all the things you could have built your work around, this is the one that called to your spirit?
Well, I think that like many people who end up doing the kind of work we do, it can start from a very personal experience.
Yeah.
And when we acknowledge and then heal something, we want to take that forward to help other people with the same thing. And it was really a realization that I had that ache that you're talking about, that
Mm,
loneliness is what I figured out it finally was. And it was kind of a shock to me because I was a high achiever, right? I can build a successful life. I know
mhm.
how to do all the things. And in the process of doing that, we become in a great way strong and in a less great way kind of guarded because
Sure.
we are protecting ourselves from
Mhm.
failure, from vulnerability. And as I was experiencing a big professional failure. I used to be a math teacher, and then I went into coaching, and in my mind, because I'm a high achiever, I think, okay, by this time it should look like this, it should be
Right.
this many clients, I should have this big of an audience. And as I was not achieving those goals and then was pivoting and then working so hard, which had been something that had worked, across my life up to that
Right.
point, wasn't
Mhm.
working. And I realized, okay, I'm kind of in a big life failure, which was an experience I hadn't had a lot of.
Mm.
And I, even more than that, that wasn't even the bigger realization. It was that I felt so lonely
Mm.
in that moment because I had never taught the people I was in relationships with how to be there for me when I was vulnerable. I didn't show up vulnerably. I never came to somebody and said, "Hey, I'm having these difficult feelings." I was like, "I'm fine." And then, worked it out and moved on, but didn't have, I mean, I was an emotional toddler, honestly. That's how I refer to myself.
Wow.
I didn't
Yeah.
really know what I was feeling. I didn't know how to sit with it. I didn't know how to share it. And that felt so lonely. And
Mm.
as I looked back through my life in that moment, I realized that I had had a lot of very lonely moments as a child, all growing up, all throughout my life. And I had come up with an amazing solution, which was just succeed and get the approval and the appraisal from your accomplishments, which feels like you're being seen. And you
Right.
are,
Right.
but you're not being seen for all of who you are. You are showing people a side and they're responding to that, but you feel not seen at all
Mhm.
because people don't know how to do that. And so at that
Mhm.
point, I realized that this was fixable. It was on me to figure out how to help the people in my life learn how to show up for me differently. I mean, by that time I've been married for decades, and it was new to have to come to my partner and say, "Hey, I just need to be able to sit in a hard feeling and have you see me there." And that was new for us. And it was new for my friends, and it was new for the people around me. And that was sort of the beginning of my mission.
Ugh, thank you so much for sharing that, Stacey. I imagine that many, if not most of our listeners can absolutely relate to what you're sharing. You know, like we as women especially are so good at just carrying things, right? And giving and giving and giving of ourselves and care. I mean, it's like part of the programming that we have as women. And then when you're a high achieving woman and you're used to like, oh, when I get it right and I do really well, like that's how I feel seen. That's when I get the attention, the external validation, the sense of worthiness. And then that becomes like part of our identity and how we work. But then the vulnerable, the needy, the inside I'm emotionally crashing kind of parts, like those, like they don't, unless we're in, you know, a secret little therapy room or you're absolutely right. We don't know how to um ask for or share those pieces of ourselves in our relationships. And I love too that you're talking about like teaching your partner how to do that because that's I think one of the things I run into a lot in working with couples is that there's this wish or this hope that because it's our life partner that they should just know how to see us.
Right.
So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that, and especially if you are listening to this and you have been on a healing journey for a while, so you
Mhm,
have done a lot of things, and then you turn toward your partner and you're like, okay, so now, like, basically catch up to where I am now, even though I've taken a million tiny steps before you. I think it's very unreasonable, and they don't know how, at least in a more stereotypical sense, I think that we fail, in like a hetero relationship, we fail men in
mhm,
teaching them how to show up for us, and it's not their fault, and
mhm,
they need to be guided for how to do that. But I mean, I needed to be guided. I didn't know how to do it either. Honestly, like I started with, I'm not even joking, a feel wheel, naming my emotions. I
those are
wasn't totally
really good
aware.
resources for a lot of people.
For sure, for sure. I didn't even know what my feelings were, let alone know
Mhm,
how to sit with them. And I think sometimes, you know this when you're working with couples and someone turns to their partner and is like, "Why won't you do this for me?" And the other person hears, "I'm failing you in some way, but I don't know how to fix it." That's a
mhm,
difficult moment to sit in, but I believe that relationships are flexible. I think they can grow. I think that many people, especially in long relationships, want to show up for each other, but
uh-huh,
they have to not only learn, but they have to be allowed how to make mistakes, right?
yeah,
It's not going to be a perfect situation.
mhm,
I'm going to say, hey, I want to feel this thing. And my partner's going to jump in and want to help or advise. And I have to say,
mhm,
no, I just want to be here in this feeling and known by you, seen by
mhm.
you, and I'm okay, but I want to share this moment of intimacy, which is based on my vulnerable, sometimes difficult feelings. So I think we can teach people how to do this as we teach ourselves also.
Yes, yes. You're making so many really important points here, Stacey, and I wanna highlight, some of the ones I'm really picking up on. One is we can't teach our partner how to love us or what we need if we don't know it ourselves. So, part of our responsibility right? Which I love that you're talking about this, because it's foundational to the work that I do. Is, the idea that like we must all be the one. We must lead our own selves in the relationship in order to um like consciously create the relationships that we desire, right? And so that's what you're talking about. You're talking about us taking the lead of our own needs by learning what they are, learning how to share what it is that we need with our partner, and doing our own work to have patience and grace as our partner learns, takes those steps, makes mistakes, and becomes who we're asking or who we're needing. I think another really important part that I'm hearing from you is this shift from, like, uh, I have to figure it out and then I have to do all of the work of teaching you, to like, I'm figuring it out and trying to support you at the same time, and we're going through this together as a team,
I
right? Like,
think what you're
I'm
saying
letting it
is really, yeah. What I think is important about this is that unfortunately, it feels like an emotional burden on me if I want more from the other person, and I think that sucks, but it
Mhm,
also is true, right? I
mhm,
mean, my choices are to take on that emotional burden to move us closer together, or to say, no, that's unfair and I'm not willing to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that answer at all. Like,
mhm.
that's just a different choice that will take you down a different road. But
Yep.
I do know, especially now, I think that we're really acknowledging that women, especially, can be taking on so much of an emotional burden already in a
Yeah.
relationship. And it does feel unfair to then have to take this on also, and I want to
Mhm,
acknowledge that. It
mhm.
is unfair,
It is unfair.
100%.
It is
But
unfair.
also, we have to pick that if we want to build these emotionally intimate relationships.
Yes, yes. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I I actually just did a post about my own resistance to my own messaging, right? Of like being the one and doing this work, because I speak to women, and I acknowledge like we we shouldn't have to. It sucks, right? But and that you're absolutely right. Like, our choices, and either choice is okay, right? But we
Totally.
can choose to not do the work and maybe not be in that relationship, and hope we can find a partner who already has done those baby steps and done that learning and knows how to hold space and knows how to, you know, be emotionally evolved as well. Or we do take on this extra labor, and um and build toward the kind of deep, connected, intimate partnership that we desire to have.
Mhm.
And what I wanna also name here is that, like, the third option is to just stay stuck and keep trying to doing what you're doing and hoping that your partner just figures it out and saying, like, "I need you to do this, go do that." Um, but that's a long path of suffering that I have found that usually doesn't work very well and doesn't put us in our own power. So, yeah, it's like this this is where we're at, and if we want what we want, like, we're high achieving women, we know how to go after what we want. And so, and what I want the listeners to hear, like, as you're hearing this, if you're having some resistance, it's okay and understandable. Like, we have resistance to it too, even as we're doing the work.
100%, 100%.
Like, there
I will be at the front of the "Screw the Patriarchy" line with you. I get
yes,
it, totally.
yes. And even as I'm like, for me, Stacey, as I'm asking like Cal to, or like trying to be patient with Cal and like helping him, Cal's my partner, like learn what I need, and walking him through it, there's still a voice inside of me like, this is fucking ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do this. Like, why blah 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 blah. And I'm like, nah, nah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that can all be real all at the same time.
absolutely.
Yeah. And like, this is how we revolutionize relationships. We need to be part of the change. And frankly, it takes less energy in the long run to like do this labor now and consciously and effectively, rather than just spinning our wheels, hitting our heads against the wall, staying lonely and disconnected and unseen and carrying it all ourselves anyways. Like, we're already expending energy. Why not expend energy in a way that is going to pay off and result in us having to do less of the labor and having a partner who can carry us in addition
Well,
to some.
not only that, like the what one of the results that I saw that I didn't anticipate was listening to my partner say, I'm feeling really anxious today. Like things we didn't say like for
Yes.
decades, but by
Mm,
like learning this together, it also
mhm,
gives him permission to say, I'm having a feeling and I know you can't fix it, but I want to have this feeling and have it witnessed by someone who cares about me and have you
mhm.
be here. And like that, I selfishly was just like, how do I fix this for myself? But now that I see what it is for him too,
Yeah.
that is huge because then you're creating emotional intimacy both ways, right? From what I
Yes.
bring and you holding me, and from what you bring and me holding you. And that is one of the reasons it's worth it. And not
Oh
only
my
that,
gosh.
I have 3 sons, and
Yeah.
I just care deeply that men get to build emotionally intimate relationships too, because I think that they suffer a lot of loneliness also in different
Oh,
ways.
yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's generational work also,
Mhm.
we are helping everybody move it forward in just our own one relationship.
Yeah. Yes, that is so true. I love that you're naming that. This is healing work. It's revolutionary work, right? Like,
Yes.
it changes the game for as you're naming, generations. And it's love, right? So I define love as, the willingness to consciously respond in our relationships for the highest good and spiritual growth of everyone involved, even when it's hard or uncomfortable or challenging or even when we don't want to, right? Like, and that's exactly what you're talking about, that even though it sucks that we have this extra work to do to try to support our partners in learning what we need and growing ourselves at the same time, like, it is the loving thing to do because it results in our highest good, their highest good, the highest good of our children, and greater ease, connection, love, joy for everyone involved, and that ripples out hugely.
Totally.
And so we haven't, like, talked directly yet about loneliness, but I feel like this is maybe a good segue because I think about, like, the epidemic of loneliness in our world. Like, we're more connected than ever, and yet so many people are still feeling so disconnected and so lonely because we don't, like, as you're naming, we don't have the skills really to know how to turn toward people, men and women and non-binary people, like, none of us have done
Totally.
this. Can you speak a little bit more about, like, the loneliness piece? Like, where's that coming from? How do we break through?
For me, loneliness is just not being seen. It's when you are standing in a space and
Mm,
you don't feel that another human sees you, understands you, and you can be right next to them. Your life can be filled with people, but it requires you to make yourself vulnerable, which,
mhm.
for high achieving women, this is not easy because number one, we have always taken care of ourselves. So we
Yep.
just we go do that. And I don't actually need the other person to do anything to fix anything for
No.
me. My loneliness problem is solved by being seen in that moment, not by actionable. I'm like the last person that needs actionable steps. I got it.
Yeah,
I
right,
can
like,
solve
"Don't
it.
try to fix this for me." Like, that's
Solving is
actually
not the
it's just gonna
problem.
piss me off.
Exactly. Solving is not the problem. I just want to be seen. So I have to make myself vulnerable and say, I'm not this isn't working for me. I'm failing at this. I'm hurt. And it doesn't even have to be about the person that I'm with. It could be about something out here in the world. But
Mhm.
I have to be willing to say, like, I don't have it right in this moment. I don't need you to fix it, but I need to be seen. That is a vulnerable thing. And the other thing that is underneath here
Mhm.
is that one of the reasons that we've learned to solve all of our problems, or maybe as a result of having done that our whole lives, there's a lack of trust in other
Mhm.
people. Like
Mm.
I do it myself because I haven't built trust in the world to help me. That's why we don't know what we need. It's why we don't ask for what we need, is because over time, when we were little, probably, we learned that we have to take care of ourselves. Other people can't be trusted. But then we reinforced it all our lives long by solving
Mhm.
our own problems and never letting somebody else help us with that. So
Yeah,
that's like a down the road step. The first step is being willing to say, I'm having a feeling here, and I just want you to stay with me and see this feeling with me and be here and acknowledge who I am in this moment, even if it's ugly or it's sad or embarrassing or devastating, just to stay
mhm.
with me. I think that's how we solve the loneliness problem. But we look outside, we think like, go solve my loneliness problem, but it is the hard work of us being willing to be vulnerable in
Yeah,
front of someone else.
yeah, yeah. It's so true. And, I'm wondering, Stacey, if you have any, like, tips for women in being able to share what it means or, like, what it looks like to see me, to be here
Mhm.
with me, because I find that that is part of the struggle even when women want to teach their partners about what they're looking for. Like, "I want you to see me, I want you to be here with me." I often find myself saying, like, "I just want you to care." But then partners often, like, they don't have a concept of what that looks like, what that feels like, what that actually is to do. And it's really easy. I hear a lot of it in couple dynamics. I hear a lot of like, "I do see you. I am here with you. I do care." But we women, even though we're asking to be seen, we're trying to be vulnerable in that moment, we're not feeling it. What's
Mhm.
happening there?
Mhm. Okay, this is great because I think that this is such a common problem
Yes.
to it feels amazing when you get in front of a professional as a couple and both people are willingly there and want to do whatever they need to do. Like that's such a huge step that I just want to acknowledge anyone who's listening. If you and your partner are doing that, you're like pat yourself on the back. That's
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
absolutely huge. Um, but then we say things like, I just want to be seen by you. And the other person is like, geez, I want to do that. What does it mean? These are the
Yeah.
things that I think it means. I mean, clarity, specific instructions, I think are very important.
Mhm.
Number one, you've got to know what you're feeling. So you have to acknowledge, hey, I'm feeling something, and like get a feel wheel, name it exactly, understand the
Mhm.
specificity of it. It's a hard word.
I think that's the
Um,
word.
Yes, what is it specifically? There's a big difference between rage and frustration
Oh,
and,
yeah.
grief and sadness, right? If you've ever felt grief, you think like I'm sad, but it doesn't quite get at it, right?
No.
Like until you
Yeah.
say the word grief. As soon as you say the word you're feeling, you'll just totally feel it in your body. You'll be like, okay,
Mhm.
this is it. So you have to
Mhm.
know what that is
There's a
first.
resonance.
Yes. So you have to know what
Mhm.
that is first. And then I think you have to go to your partner and you have to say, I want to talk about a feeling, and this is exactly what I need you to do. I need
Mm.
you to make sure your phone's not out. I need you to make eye contact with me. I need you to hear and I need you to acknowledge and validate. And they're like, what does that mean? That means that you say, I hear you. I see you. I think that how you want validating is like normalizing the other person's feelings. So
Mhm.
come up with the phrase that sounds the most like you coming out of your mouth. It makes perfect sense that you're pissed off about that. It's perfectly normal to feel angry in this situation. Yeah, I would be sad too. Like you want to normalize that other person's feelings, and you're going to have to give exact wording in the beginning so that they understand how to acknowledge and validate you, so that you feel that feeling of them getting it. That's what you want. You want them to get it. And it's really important to say, I do not want advice. I do not
Right.
want like reassurance. I do not want, and maybe you do want reassurance. Know what you want, right? If you are
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
I just want you, especially if if you're coming off a big situation like infidelity or something, it's okay to say, I'm really feeling really insecure today. And I want reassurance from you that you're here and everything is okay between us. And
Yeah.
so you can specifically say the thing that you want, and don't feel like, God, what? We're like little kids. We have to like be so specific. Be specific, very, very specific about what you need. Give words, give scripts so that they get it, and let them have training wheels on for a while until it like clicks, and it will.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. I think we forget how specific we really need to be when asking our needs to be met, because what can feel so easy and obvious for us may be totally foreign to our partners, right?
Totally.
Excuse me. I have a tickle in my throat. It'll make my eye water. Um, but we have to remember, like, our partner's brain is not our brain. They're not connecting dots the same way. They're not, they don't necessarily want or feel things the same way. And I think especially when we're talking across gender lines with men, they have not been socialized.
Hmm.
Right? Like, even thinking about the types of ways that parents often respond to their children, like, little girls may are more likely to have had moments where they're getting comforted and soothed in their feelings, and so
Hmm.
we have, like, that mental map of what that looks like, what that feels like, what that is, that a little boy may not have had, was told to toughen up, or just like, "Hey, bud, you okay?" Brush it off, rub some dirt in it, you're good.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's like, if we wanna set ourselves and our partner up for success, knowing exactly what to ask for and how
Hmm.
to ask for that, and that feeling part, like, knowing how to, like, put a name on the feeling. You keep talking about this feel wheel, right? You have one of those for our audience, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. I think I left. Yes, we definitely have one for
Yes.
your audience.
Okay. And I usually talk about, like, the free gifts and stuff at the end, but this, I mean, it just makes sense to name it
Print it,
here. Y'all,
print it
if you have
out, put
not
it on
looked
your
at a feel wheel
fridge.
before,
Yeah.
Stacy has one for you. The link is in the description, the show notes. Like, go get it. And actually, I'm thinking I have a really great, like, 5-part assertive message training. I'll throw that in there too, which is another great
Yes.
opportunity to organize your thoughts and feelings and get really clear on what it is that you're asking for from your partner. So that can be another really good
Beautiful.
way to put this together.
Totally. And the other thing I didn't mention that I think is really important is timing.
Mm,
Timing matters. Like coming at
yes.
somebody and with a request when they don't have the bandwidth can make us feel more lonely because we've just asked at a time where they can't show up for us for
Right.
whatever reason. They've
Right.
got their own stuff going on. And that's another one of those things where that feels like an emotional burden to have to gauge, are you going to be able to be available for me or not? And yes, again, it's unfair for us
Yeah.
to have to do that, but we also want them to be able to do that for us too, because I don't want
Yeah.
someone coming to me when I'm just like having a day, and then they
Right.
want me to show up emotionally and I just feel like I cannot put all of my needs on hold for you right now. So I
Mhm.
think timing matters, and you can just do a check-in with each other before you're entering into that emotional space with each other to say
Yeah.
like, is this a good time? This is a conversation we have to have. I want to
Mhm.
talk about this, but
Mhm.
can we do it now? Does this work for you? And if not, when? It's very important for people who have an anxious attachment to know that you're not running away and never coming back, but that if
Yes.
they have to wait, they will have an exact time that you'll return. So I think it's
Yes.
important to ask that timing question, but expect an answer.
Mhm. Mhm. Which is, yeah, like, which is to say, if your partner can't do it now, ask them, when are they gonna do it? and then insist on getting an answer so that your nervous system can settle, and you know that there will
Exactly.
be a time and a place. Because
Exactly.
it can feel like torture to hold it and to ask for something so vulnerable and, like, then not ever receive it or not know when you're going to be able to. Yeah.
And I mean, that's like such an important thing for building trust in a relationship. If you are
Mhm.
starting at the beginning or if you are repairing trust, to consistently, we know some people have to walk away to process, like that's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
okay. And some
Yep.
people need to talk, but to consistently, if you do a timeout or a
Mhm.
pause, to
Mhm.
put a time on it and always return, that lets everybody settle down, whether
Yeah.
that's in the middle of an argument or just a sharing situation. But
Mhm.
it's critical to have
Yes.
return time on that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it totally is. It totally is. And I wanna circle back real quick to something you said, um, uh, my brain, about it's the perimenopause brain fog. It
Oh
was, like,
man,
right there.
52. My brain only halfway operates, I swear.
Um, you were talking about something, and it made me think about something else. I'm gonna find it, Stacey.
Okay, okay. Well, it made me think of something else. So I was
Please
thinking
do.
about, uh,
Well, I'm gonna, like,
yeah.
I'm listening, but I'm gonna
Well, I
set
was
my
thinking
brain to
about
the background task of figuring out what I was gonna
what
say.
that was. I
Yeah.
was thinking about trust as I said the word trust there.
Mm.
I I think that sometimes people, you know, don't know how to rebuild trust after there's been trust broken.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think there are some ways to do that. And one of them is in the everyday promise keeping, the small, tiny things, right? The little ways that you said you would do something and you do it, and you say you're going to do something and you do it. Like, trust is not built on in 1 year's time. If you haven't, you know, cheated, I'll trust you again. It's not a time thing. It
Mhm.
comes in every single little moment that you show up for the other person. And
Yeah,
so those, when people don't know where to begin for
yeah.
rebuilding trust, that is where it's at. It is in moments of, like, it's like a little dance. I'm going to make myself vulnerable and you're going to see me. And you're going to make yourself vulnerable and I'm going to see you. And that is how we start to rebuild it again, by keeping
Mhm,
that promise to show up for each other. And so
mhm.
I don't know, that was just the thing I thought of when I said that word trust, because I know that's just such
Yeah,
a tricky thing for people.
yeah, it is, and that's really important to name, like, how these moments of being seen, so we don't have to feel lonely, learning how to do that for your partner goes so far in building trust, right? And when you don't, when you can't, it actually does a lot of damage in destroying trust, even when there hasn't been, like, a big rupture, like an affair or something. Just these little, you know, death of relationship by a thousand paper cuts kind of things, where
Totally.
not being seen, not being seen, not being seen, not being seen, it can and will destroy a relationship. The one
Absolutely.
thing I would add about this idea of building trust, or really accentuate, because you did name it, is this vulnerability piece, that we have to be vulnerable first. And so I think a lot of the time too, what I see when people think about rebuilding trust, it's like they want their partner to just prove that they're trustworthy so they can trust them again. But your partner can't prove that they're trustworthy unless you are taking the risk of being vulnerable, giving them a chance to let you down,
Mhm.
right? And and this, like, comes back to the ownership of what we can do, and taking responsibility of, like, I want to participate in rebuilding trust here, but that means that, I mean, in little baby steps, little by little, we open up our heart a little bit. We trust our partner with a feeling and see if they can show up. But we let them know, like, I need to be able to trust you with this. And this is what I need you to do exactly when I share this with you. And so it's like this relational dance,
Totally.
not just something that your partner does in a year I trust you again. Like, no,
Well,
it's
they
like,
can't do it without you. Yeah,
no, they
it
can't do it
cannot.
without you.
It's an experience, it's an exchange all the time to
Yes,
rebuild it. If you're like,
yes.
"I'm gonna stay guarded," well, you become trustworthy, you'll never be able to do it. It has to
Mhm,
happen just like you were saying. Both
mhm.
people have to be vulnerable and held over
Yes.
and over and over.
Yeah, yeah. Um, One thing that I wanna add, I think this is related to the thought I had before, but though I don't know how it came into my brain, but I actually I saw a reel the other day, about the way that men in particular, it was directed at men, it was a man speaking, but the way that men in particular often hear these requests for love
Mhm.
as, uh, "I'm not enough," or "I've failed," or like there's this new standard for me that I'm going to get wrong and I'm going to let you down around. So instead of hearing this request for love and connection and depth, they hear this thing that feels like a threat. And I think that that's just important to name because, whether you're listening to this with your partner or you're a woman who wants to take leadership of your own life and love and share what you need with your partner, recognize that it's possible that he, she, or they may hear these requests for love and connection, this desire to be seen as a statement that they are not doing a good enough job so far, that they've somehow
Totally.
failed you or let you down. Now, that's their shit, and we can partner with them in naming, like, "This isn't you failing me or letting me down. This is me recognizing that I have not asked for this very well, or I have not known that I've had this need, or, um, this is me, like, looking like, reaching toward you to deepen our connection because I trust that you, like, want to grow with me," as you named earlier, Stacy, right? Like, so many of our relationships, they do, they wanna keep growing. Our partners wanna get better. Like, "I want us to get better. I'm working on myself. I've realized I've been lonely. I want you to help me if I'm that process. Like, can you help me feel more connected to you by" so come it's like you're coming together, and sometimes our partners need that reassurance too of, like, "This is me not telling you how you're not enough and need to be more. This is me inviting you to grow with me and asking for your help in my fulfillment, my happiness, my joy, our connection." And when you approach it from that angle, you're gonna get a lot further a lot faster.
Well, you used the perfect word, which was invitation. I think it's kind of like positioning. If I come to my partner and I'm looking backwards and I'm saying, "This is the way it's been going and I don't like it." Or I come to my partner and I'm looking forward and I'm saying, like, "This is the way you've supported me and provided for me so far," using very specific words they need to hear, like that supported and provided for me. And now I want to be closer to you. I
Mhm.
want to know you more intimately. And even though it's scary, like this is where I see us going, an
Yeah.
invitation forward. And I think that that is a different way to talk about it, but you're exactly right. You have to reassure someone that this is not a failure as a partner or a failure in supporting you. It's just an invitation into a new version of our relationship. And I think that that's you constantly do that. Every time there's a significant rupture or a transition, someone's life changes in some way,
Mhm.
you the old relationship is done. It is
Yes.
dead. We are birthing something new, and we get to bring all the good stuff with us, but we get to keep turning this next version of it into something even more beautiful. And I think that it's really important for people to think about it in those terms, or else you can get
Yes.
trapped in one of those, "Today I have a complaint about this.
Mhm.
And by the way, it's happened 20 times before," and all of a sudden you're like in a losing battle before you even
Yes.
started, instead of like, "This is going on and this is my vision for how this could look in the future if we made some adjustments."
Mhm. Yeah, that's Thank you so much for naming that, because it is so liberating when we're just like, this is regardless of how much has happened in the past, like, okay, past relationship has dead. We're reincarnating something.
Yeah,
This is what I'm experiencing now. Sure, our feelings, our thoughts have a history to them, and what where our power lies is in knowing what it is we're trying to create and advocating for and taking steps toward that.
totally.
This is such a good conversation, and I there's a piece I've wanted to talk about that we haven't gotten to yet, so I'm gonna jump in. I think it's probably a pretty good segue too, as we're talking about reincarnation and, like, letting the past be and focusing on where we wanna go in the future, and that's forgiveness. You write about it in your book. You talk about forgiveness as a transition tool, not a gift you're giving to someone else, right? But like a passage for ourselves. And that is a huge paradigm shift. Like, that is a revolutionary idea. Can you share a little bit more about how forgiveness comes into play in this conversation? Like, why? What does that have to do with anything? And what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, I want to broaden out the idea of forgiveness to kind of have different components to it.
Okay.
If something happens, and this can be like a tiny thing, if something happens, there are some things that are going on there. One, your feelings might have been hurt, or you might have hurt someone else's feelings. So
Yep.
there was an exchange where a need wasn't met, a line was crossed, something happened, and there are feelings involved with that. Forgiveness is a little bit just addressing those feelings, feeling those feelings, letting those feelings go. But underneath that is a whole bunch of, opportunity,
Mhm.
because we have limiting beliefs about ourselves. And when
Yep.
something happens, if I hurt someone else or if they hurt me, I am either reinforcing a belief that I've always had about myself, or a new one is being born that's going to
Mhm.
limit me going forward. And if I don't stop and go through a process of forgiveness, what I'm doing is I'm just dragging forward this version of myself that is keeping me limited in my ability to have emotional intimacy with people. So it's an opportunity to say, like, okay, hold on a second. Like, I'm not going to take this forward without intention. And
Mhm.
so here is my chance to say, like, what is this about me? And then it's about, what do I want? If we just had something happen that was a disaster, my partner and I, we can stop and say, number one, someone's feelings got hurt. If you hurt someone else's feelings, you also hurt your own feelings, I really believe. I mean, it's
Mhm.
kind of both. Someone's feelings got hurt. When we do character assassination, where it's like, you're so selfish or whatever, it's like, okay, those are the limiting beliefs we want to disrupt. We don't want to pull forward any of
Mhm.
this box I'm putting you in or you're putting me in. But
Sure.
also, what were the details of this scenario that we can make adjustments on going forward? Because the Gottman's research. It's,
Mhm.
69% of problems are perpetual and unsolvable. In
Yep.
that case, all we get to do is to talk with each other about how to talk about those things,
Yeah, how do
how
we
to
wanna
focus on
navigate
those
it?
things.
Mhm.
Exactly. It's the how
Mhm.
part. So, love this example, but I'm a hand talker. And at one point my husband was like, "When you come at me with the fingers, like I just completely like shut down." And so it's a small thing, but I just made an effort to stop that physical reaction I was having because
Mhm.
it feels aggressive.
Mhm.
So you can just be in a moment, be like, okay, what worked or what didn't work? Oh, you were hungry. We shouldn't have had this conversation then. Oh, you don't like to have a conversation in a public place about something that's, there's like all of these little things that if we
Yeah.
stop and do forgiveness with intention, we can use it as a transition from, like I said, an old version of the relationship into
Mhm.
a new version where we only take forward the highest love of ourselves, the person in the relationship, the most supportive habits and behaviors, and we handle those hurt feelings so they don't come with us. Because if
Mhm.
they do, the next time something similar happens, they're all going to just come up again. So that's the opportunity, I think, is that you transition from an old version really into a new
Mhm.
version. And in that way, conflict is like one of the best things we have in our relationships, because it shows me how we're different. It shows me more intimately who you are. I get to show you more intimately who I am, and we get
Mhm.
closer and closer and closer if we're willing to stop and do forgiveness forget together. So
Yeah,
I just think it's like one of the greatest tools for intimacy is that process of forgiveness.
I love it. Yeah, it's and you're speaking my language because I also believe and I will preach
Die
from
on the hill.
like all of our problems are gifts, resources, and opportunities to our relationships.
Totally.
And when you get that, right? Like when you have that paradigm shift and you can have compassion and grace and forgiveness for the problems and the challenges, and then turn toward each other around what do we need to learn from this? What is this inviting us into? How do we grow? How do we build something better? Like your relationship just keeps getting better, right? It just
Totally.
keeps growing and deepening and expanding. And that's where the power and possibility really lies. And we don't get there from having a perfect relationship. We get there from fucking up and 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 being lonely and feeling hurt and going through major changes. We get there through our relationship dying and being reincarnated on purpose.
Mhm. Totally. And if you ask anybody who, if you see a relationship that is like, God, they have got it figured out, I guarantee they have gone through something very hard or many things that were very hard. And what they did was they did forgiveness and repair. And you know how you've sat in front of couples who are like, God, we fight all the time and this feels
Mhm,
terrible. And it's like, well, you know what? Fighting is not a problem. Conflict is
mhm,
not a problem. It's just you
mhm.
have to add in repair. So rather
Yeah,
than throw your relationship out, really work on how you're going to repair. Yeah, you can get better at conflict. Absolutely, we
yep,
all can. But
yep,
it's that repair that is the invitation you're talking about and the opportunity and everyone can get better at that.
yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%. Oh, this is such a great conversation. I feel like we could keep talking about this
I
all
know.
day.
I know. Oh, you make it so easy.
Okay, so as we start to wrap up, I just wanna ask, first of all, is there anything else that feels really key that you want our listeners to know in this conversation?
I think we covered a lot of stuff. I would say, and it feels like we kind of have an alignment on this value. Partnership is a value of mine,
Mhm.
and I know that it's very easy for us to put someone in another camp and us in this camp, or look for separation between us and our partners, but I really believe that it does require some sacrifice, and sometimes it requires a little bit of a burden, but it's worth it
Yes.
for the reward that you get. So I just want to acknowledge any person who's just feeling like, it's too much, it's unfair, they're taking on so much. I
Mhm.
just want to acknowledge them and let them know, like, I see you and you're right, and it isn't fair. And also, you can still build something beautiful with somebody if you're willing to make some of those sacrifices. And I
Mhm.
just believe so much in partnership, and I know you do too. So
Yes.
I would just probably end on that.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. And for anybody who is interested in learning more about the work that you do, working with you, taking one of your courses, picking up your book, how do they get a hold of you? Where can they find more information?
I mean, you can find me pretty much across socials with my name, Stacy Rockline. It's spelled Rocklein. I'm
Mhm.
most active on YouTube. So I lots of little, short videos that can help you with a wide range of things. There's hundreds of them over there. I've got a new Substack, which is kind of fun. I'm over there writing on Substack. That's brand new. And I do have a book that just came out, Forgive Without an Apology, which you can find on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or anywhere if you're looking for a tool like forgiveness that's your powerhouse. And it requires boundaries often, and that's things that we often
Mhm.
struggle with and are not easy,
Yes.
but when you have boundaries, you have the safety you need to do forgiveness. So you can grab
That's
that anywhere books are sold, pretty much.
wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time,
Oh,
your
thank you for this
wisdom.
conversation. No, that was so fun. I think we
Yes,
just got into a lot of corners.
Oh, we did. We did. And it was hard to hold myself back from all of the other, like,
I know.
places that we could go. For those of you who are listening, if you feel resonance with Stacy, please reach out. She knows what she's doing. She's got it figured out, and it's clear that she's going to be able to support you. So I really, really appreciate, again, you being here. I'm going to put you backstage, close out our episode, and hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Stacy. Oh, friends, that was so good. I hope you got a lot of gold from this conversation with Stacy, because there really was, like, just so much wisdom in it, especially this idea that, well, I mean, I can't even say especially, because there's so many that I'm thinking of. But one thing I'm really taking away is recognizing that the loneliness that we feel is the need to be seen. And in order to be seen, we need to take responsibility for understanding what it is we're experiencing and being able to share with our partners and partner with our partners around how to help them learn to give us exactly what it is that we need. And recognizing that our relationship is not just a static experience, my friends. It is going to change, it is going to die, and it can be reincarnated into something even better and more beautiful, even if that process includes going through something really, really painful. Okay. There are possibilities in that if you can learn repair, if you can practice forgiveness, if you choose to co-create something new and better together. If this podcast moved you, and I would be shocked if it didn't, will you do something for me right now? Will you subscribe to the Relationship Revolutionary wherever you listen to podcasts? Leave us a review. Share this episode with one woman you know who needed to hear what Stacy said today. The word of mouth from trusted people like yourself is what gets this conversation into rooms it hasn't been in yet, to the women who need to hear it. And if you want to help us activate and accelerate this global movement of revolutionizing relationship, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to us on YouTube, share about our work at Powerful Love, attend our events, and of course, do your part in leading with love. If you're looking for support for yourself, your partnership, reach out to me. There are numerous ways that we can support you. And I want to talk about two of them really quickly. One is a space that I've created for women exactly like you and the partners who love them. It's the Relationship Revolution community. This is where powerful women come to learn how to lead love differently, alongside their partners or independently. We learn to love with truth, with courage, and in a context of support. It's a monthly membership, and it's unlike anything else you're going to find out there. We take the revolutionary paradigm shifting ideas that we learn here and we apply them. There's additional training, behind the scenes look, monthly calls with me. If you're done doing this alone and you're devoted to the ongoing growth and evolution of your relationship, this is the place for you. It's $147 a month. You can cancel anytime if it's not supporting you the way you need it to. And I would love to see you in there. The link to join is in the description. If you know that you need something deeper and you're looking for a major change in your relationship, I want you to know that I have, for the rest of this month, so for 7 more days, the opportunity to work with me privately for a VIP day. I'm calling it the Catalyst VIP Day. This is just you and me for a full day intensive designed to shift the dynamic in your most important relationship quickly. So you don't have to wait, you don't have to wonder, and you don't have to figure it all out alone. You'll leave with a custom plan strategy for exactly what to do to create the changes that your relationship needs immediately. The spots are limited. They're not going to last. Just comment Catalyst, DM me, email me the word Catalyst. I'll know what you're talking about, and I will send you the details and next steps. I hope you will join me next week for another Catalyst conversation. We're moving into April already and getting into a brand new theme. I'm going to be talking about the hard-won truths that we learn through, well, the hard way. So join me next Friday for another episode, every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Until then, my friends, keep leading with love.